Gladiator 2 is out now, and here I am talking about it. Yes, I am still alive, and I do want to use this channel in some way. Is Gladiator 2 good? I would say yes. Off the bat, I think it's hard to deny that this movie is good. But does it justify its existence as a Lego sequel almost 20 years after it won Best Picture? I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to say that you could consider this a failure, but it's just nowhere near the first Gladiator, obviously. It's kind of hard to surpass what Russell Crowe was doing and Joaquin Phoenix was doing in that movie. I think the acting is a little bit all over the place. First, Paul Mescal as the lead. He isn't Denzel Washington, and that's a problem because Denzel is kind of just acting everyone off the screen, and with Paul Mescal as your first build superstar in this movie, you kind of can't have Denzel acting as well as he is, or at least he feels like Denzel and the twins, the twin emperors, are kind of in a completely different movie. One that is way more entertaining and feels a little more Gladiator-ish-esque, I suppose. And then you have Paul Mescal and Pedro Pascal and Connie Nielsen returning, where they are just a little more downplayed almost the whole time, and I think it's to the detriment of the movie. There are kind of two different films happening at the same time, where one is you see Denzel's character, and there's going to be some like light spoilers, I suppose, so just FYI. Denzel's character attempting to rise to power. He started out as a slave and a gladiator himself, and then he rises up. But it's all almost a mirror of Russell Crowe's original Gladiator, because Denzel is portrayed and supposed to be portrayed as the bad guy. The climax of the film is Paul Mescal versus Denzel Washington, is kind of hilarious as that sounds, that like 70-year-old Denzel Washington is the main villain. But it's true. It is weird because Denzel is so good in this movie that you almost can't help but root for him, and he is the villain. And Paul Mescal gets sidelined a lot in this movie, I think, because the first Gladiator was a movie about Russell Crowe's Maximus. That is what the movie is about. And this sequel is kind of about Rome and the state of this Rome that we have abandoned for 20 years until now. So I don't think it's a proper Lego sequel in the way that a lot of people wanted, probably. It's certainly not bad. The action set pieces, the combat scenes are top tier Ridley Scott, I think. This guy clearly knows what he's doing when it comes to human versus human battles and interactions. And I say human because there are at least, if I'm remembering, 3 different fight scenes involving completely CGI animals. There are some like baboon type creatures. There's a rhinoceros. And if you saw any of the trailers, there are sharks when they do the naval battle. The naval battle is fun. The sharks in it, there's the rhinoceros. The sharks in it are just very clearly fake, and it's distracting. But when you got just Pedro Pascal versus Paul Mescal, that works. Those guys are really good physical actors. So when they are on screen battling, it works. But when Paul Mescal is trying to act, and he has to be this stoic, inspirational man that Russell Crowe was 20 years ago, it just doesn't work. It's just not the same. He's not even necessarily bad at it. I just think he's not at the level of Russell Crowe, which is a very hard level to reach, obviously. But that is what's being asked of him, and I don't think he's entirely successful. Overall, this movie is pretty good. If you compare it to Napoleon, which is a movie I really liked, which is Ridley Scott's last movie in 2021 or 2 that came out, I think. I like Napoleon. I think Napoleon is better than this. But I think part of that is that Napoleon wasn't saddled with the expectations of being the 20-plus year Lego sequel to one of the most famous kind of Best Picture wins of all time, and one of the best actor wins of all time, and Russell Crowe. So I don't think this movie could have ever surpassed expectations. Is it worth seeing? Definitely. I think it's interesting, and it has interesting tidbits and different plot lines that just kind of don't get fleshed out, despite this like 2 hour and 35-minute runtime, unfortunately. But overall, this is definitely a movie you should go see. I recommend it. If you're just looking for a fun time at the movies and you're someone that loves Gladiator and remembers Gladiator, I think you're going to enjoy this. It's certainly not the original movie. I don't think it ever had a chance of being the original movie. But there are some fun things in it. I think Denzel is he's my favorite right now, probably to win Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I don't even know if he would be my pick, but damn, this man still has it at whatever age he is. He's in his upper 70s, I think. But oh my God, he's having a blast. And he kind of is so good that he becomes the problem of the movie, where this guy is clearly the villain and wants revenge and is evil and wants power so he can corrupt Rome and all these things. But he is so good and so much fun that you're like, yeah, I want this guy to win too, because he's Denzel Washington and he's freaking awesome. But that's kind of the problem of the movie overall. So it's a good movie. I don't think it's a great movie, but you should definitely go see it. It's one of the biggest sequels of this year, one of the most anticipated movies of this year. It's definitely worth seeing. Again, the combat scenes are really well done. Denzel is acting his ass off. The Emperor twins, I think, are a lot of fun. Connie Nielsen in it is probably my weakest point, unfortunately. She's kind of the emotional linchpin of this movie, and I don't really connect with it all that much, unfortunately. So that part's kind of rough, but anytime Denzel's on screen, and he's on screen for a lot, I kind of thought he was just going to be like in and out for 5 minutes, but he is basically the second lead of this movie, and it's a good choice that they did that, that's for sure. So go watch this movie. I would give it like a 3 out of 5 probably. I had a lot of fun with it, but it definitely has its low points. Does it justify its existence? Which is kind of a fair question that you have to ask of these Lego sequels. No, I do not think it does. But at the same time, it's a good movie. I can't deny that. I can't deny that it's fun. So ultimately, 3 out of 5. Go see it. I think it's a blast, but it's certainly not perfect. And that's my review. I'm going to be coming out with a few more of these on this channel here soon. I saw Red 1. Can't wait to talk about that nonsense. And I also saw A Real Pain recently, so I'm going to talk about those. All right. See you in the next video. Goodbye.